Hello everyone, this is Rebecca Jane from yogawithrebeccajane.com and welcome to our class on align and flow. So today with this practice we'll be focusing in on the breath, the alignment of the breath and movement, which will be it's like a dance. I always say when I am completely and utterly in tune with breath and movement, with the flow of my yoga practice, you feel like you're dancing. It's more seamless, it's effortless. There's less to it, but it feels, you kind of come out feeling rejuvenated, energized, in a real positive way, in a relaxed kind of what we call a relaxed alertness in yoga. So we're going to start on our backs. I'm going to begin with just concentrating on the abdominal muscles and the lower back just to get you warmed up. And then we're going to do a continuous flow, very simple, basic flow, nothing complex. So come onto your backs. All I would suggest for this class that you might need is one block. And if you don't have one, that's not even necessary. You can, if you have one, just place it next to you, laying on your back. And let's begin with a nice stretch out. Stretch through the entire length of the spine. Feel into that lower back, the hip joints, all these spaces that if you've been sitting for long periods of time, they get very tight, and then hug your knees into your chest, little rocks and rolls from side to side. And then place your feet flat on the ground, and we're going to knock the knees together and let the feet open for the first few moments as we connect with our breath. So the knees knock, the feet are slightly open so that lower back, you'll feel that lift a little bit. So hands resting on your rib cage or around the tummy, and take an inhale and expand that rib cage. So feel the rib cage flare out, and then exhale, draw that rib cage in. And the tummy will naturally pull in as well. Inhaling, spreading those rib cages. Exhaling, drawing the rib cages in, drawing those tummy muscles in. And then inhaling and then exhaling. So a few little moments here to begin the Ujjayi breath, which is that ocean-like sound, meditative breath that we do in yoga. And you hear it's this kind of sound of, it sounds a little like Darth Vader as you open up the back of your throat, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. Now the next inhalation, let's bring the legs up into a 90-degree angle. And we're going to use the block in a moment, but not yet. So 90-degree angle legs, knees are in line with ankles, and then hips are in line with knees. Press your lower back into the ground, arms resting next to your sides. Take an inhale. And all I want you to do is with the exhalation, lift your tailbone slightly off the ground. It's not going to come far. So if you don't feel much of anything, it's because you can only go so far with this. Let's do this a few more times. Exhale, lift the tailbone up, and inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift, and you're going to feel, you can even place your finger right around, just below the navel. You'll feel this hard muscle. That's the muscle we're activating. And then lift and lower. So one more time, exhale, lift and lower. And then settle down. Keep your legs as they are. Take a deep breath in and just tap your right foot down, and then inhale your right leg up. Exhale the left foot down, tap, inhale the leg back up. So keep going back and forth, down and up, pressing into the lower back. So you inhale, legs come back together. Exhale, tap the foot down. Inhale, legs come back together. Exhale, foot down. Working these lower abdominal muscles. One more set, lower, tap down, and then the left leg or the other, whatever leg you're on, bring it back up. Inhaling, then exhale, hug your knees into your chest. Just give yourself a little bit of a reprieve. Breathing in and out. And then place your feet flat on the ground again. Again, take your block, or if you don't have a block, not necessary. It's just used as a stabilizer. Narrow section, so the thinnest section, place it between your legs. Lift your legs up towards the ceiling this time, so they're pointing upward. Either flex the feet or push through the ball mounds of the feet. Arms resting next to the sides. Take an inhale, and then exhale, tailbone lifts, and then lower as you inhale. Exhale, lift. Again, not too far. It's coming up very, very tiny, tiny, subtle movement. Lift up. Your toes are reaching upwards, not towards your face, and then lower down. Lifting up as you exhale. Inhale, lower. Lift up and exhale, lower. Now, keep your legs where they are, tailbones back down. Bring your head and shoulders off the ground. Arms are reaching forward. Push through the ball mounds of those feet or flex the feet. I like to do the ball mound because it really gets your legs working. Take an inhale, lift up, and just pause. Breathing in, and then lift your tailbone up, and then lower the tailbone down, and then lift your chin and chest up, and then just bring it down. Just let it drop down to the upper part of your shoulders, and then lift your tailbone up, and then lower down as you inhale, and then exhale, head reaches forward. One more set. If your neck is hurting you, feel free to put your hands behind, cradle your head. And then exhale, lift your tailbone up, inhale, lower down. And then one more time, lift your head and lift both up. Let's lift both up together, why not? And lift, 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 inhaling. And then exhale, lowering the head down and the feet down. So if the breathing was kind of out of sync, don't worry about it, because it's really, we'll get back into the breath. Let's just take a moment here and just swing our legs from side to side, windshield wiper the legs. Anything your body is in need of, just to stretch out those muscles that we've just worked. And let's take an inhale and let's exhale, roll all the way up, come onto swing around onto our hands and knees. And once on your hands and knees, the wrists are under shoulders, knees are under hips. Walk your feet so they're touching the top of the back of your mat, and press back into your child's pose. Reach your arms forward. Forehead can be resting on the ground, or you can lift it up. We're going to begin our flow, our simple flow. Breath and movement work together. So here we go into the first flow. Taking an inhale, float through the cow where the elbows are bent, and once you've reached, you're in your all fours, you come to your all fours, straighten the arms and exhale, round the spine and press back into a child's pose. Inhaling, full inhalation, forward, elbows are bent, chest, lower back arches. Come back into your tabletop, arms straighten, exhale, round the spine, press back towards your heels. Let's inhale, float forward. Exhale, round. Press back. Blending breath and movement together. Inhaling, forward, exhaling back. Let's do 2 more sets of those at your own pace. So you might go faster than me, or you might find you can go actually slower than me, or the same pace. 1 more set. And then let's pause in child's pose, but keep the breath at that same rhythm, inhaling and exhaling. The next inhalation, let's sit back to our heels and lift up off our heels. Reach your arms up to the sky. Deep breath in and exhale, fold forward as if you're diving into a pool of water. And then inhale, slither forward in through your cow, just like what we just did. Exhaling, rounding the spine. Slide your hands back towards your knees, and then immediately start to inhale as you finish that exhalation. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, dive down, rounding the back. Inhale, float through the cow. So arching your lower back, exhaling, rounding through that back, lift up, accentuate the curves of the spine. Lift the arms up. 2 more of these sets at your own pace. Marrying the breath and movement. And then once you finish your final one, let's all meet back into the child's pose. So that was the second flow. Take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out. And then let's move on to the third. Inhaling into your tabletop. Exhaling, curl the toes under, downward facing dog. Inhaling, lowering the knees to the ground. Exhale, press back into your child's pose. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lower the knees down. Exhale, child's pose. 2 more sets at your own pace. And then we meet back into our child's pose and keep the breath continuously moving in and out, inhaling and exhaling. The next inhalation, let's come up to all fours. Let's curl the toes under, downward facing dog. And take a pause here in downward facing dog. Breathing in and breathing out, feeling into the tailbone as it lengthens, and draw the tummy muscles in. So you're bringing the tummy muscles in and up, creating space so you can go deeper into this pose. Take a deep breath in, and then bending, coming back to the ground. So now we're on to our, sit back to the heels for a moment, lift up nice and just sit on the heels. And let's do a few little circles of the wrists, because we're gonna need it. If you're not used to downward, using your wrists in this way on a regular basis, which most of us aren't, unless you are a yogi to begin with, or you've been doing yoga for a long time, your wrists will get tired. So don't feel like something's wrong with you or you have terribly weak wrists. We all do. Come onto all fours. We're now on to the next flow. Okay? So you're going to sit back into your child's pose, very similar to what we did at the very beginning. Take an inhale. You're going to reach your arms forward and inhale, float forward through the cow, but take it further this time. And lower your pubic bone towards the ground. Lift your heart forward. So here we are in what they call a modified upward dog. Exhaling, rounding through the back, press back into a child's. So breath and movement. Inhaling, full inhalation. So you might have to go faster than me if your lung capacity is a little bit smaller. Exhale, or it's not there yet. And then exhale, press all the way back into your child's pose. Let's do 2 more sets at your own pace. And let's meet back into the child's pose. Take a pause here with the wrists. Circle them, and then we're going to come back into tabletop, into the same flow that we just did, but without the knees on the ground. Or if you find it's too much with the knees on the ground or off the ground, just do what we just repeat what we just did. It's the same thing, but from downward facing dog. So to follow me, or just continue on with what we just did. Hands reach forward, take a deep breath in, float forward into a plank, And then just drop your pubic bone towards the ground, knees stay off the ground, toes stay curled under. And then exhaling, rounding through the spine, rippling through that spine into a downward facing dog. Inhale, ripple through that spine, creating that wave. And then inhale, opening up the chest, exhaling, rounding back through that spine into downward facing dog. So let's do 2 more sets, either knees up or down. On your own, at your own pace. And then we meet back into our child's pose. It's always nice to take a breather for a moment, recovering. And in your recovery pose, when you get here, you don't have to speed up just to get to the pose, the recovery pose, but to continue to, the breath doesn't just stop, it continues in the same rhythm, but you're in a resting state. So it's kind of like an airplane doesn't stop the engine. You hear the engine continuing to be, while it's warming up, ready to fly, while it's in recovery, I suppose. If that's a great analogy, I'm not sure, but something that just came to mind. Inhale, come into your tabletop. We're going to move on to the next flow. Exhaling, downward facing dog to begin. And then we're going to walk to the front of the mat. So we're moving into our sun salutation, starting with a half. So we're going to stay at the top of the mat. Let's begin with just folding over those legs. Keep the breath moving in and out. Now tummy pulls in and up, so you have space for this bend, but also you're creating these muscles. You're strengthening the muscles, the transverse abdominis muscles, so that you can protect your lower back. We're going to do a few sets of just inhaling halfway. This is a part of the half sun salutation. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling halfway. You can use blocks. You can place blocks right in front of you and place your fingers on those blocks. So I'll show you if you can't go near the ground, you use blocks. You inhale halfway. Exhaling, forward fold. Knees can be bent here. They don't need to be straight. I always have a slight bend to my knees, which I recommend. Exhaling, forward fold. Do 2 more sets of these on your own, at your own pace. The inhale is for lifting and exhaling, forward fold. And then let's take an inhale and let's exhale. Sweep your arms up to the sky. Lift up nice and high. Bring your hands in front of your heart. So we're now into Tadasana, the starting off of the sun salutations, the first posture that you begin with, mountain pose. So bring your feet so they're hip distance apart. We're going to do half a sun salutation, so just follow me. Take an inhale, sweep your arms up to the sky. Make sure your tailbone lengthens down, you draw your rib cage in. Exhale, float the arms out to the sides. This is called swan dive, all the way down to the ground. Inhaling halfway. So you're lengthening through the spine, crown of the head reaches forward. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, sweep your arms up to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, sweep your arms up to the sky. Deep breath in. Exhale, fold forward. Inhaling halfway. Exhaling, forward fold, and inhale, sweep your arms up to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart. I'm going to do this with you. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Deep breath in, exhaling, forward fold, full exhalation, inhaling halfway, exhaling, forward fold, inhale, sweep your arms up to the sky. Let's take a moment here to recover. Hands in front of your heart, lifting up through the crown of the head, tailbone lengthens down so your bottom's not poking back. It's actually pulling down. And let's take a pause here, closing the eyes and continuously breathing in and out. So aligning breath and movement, even when you're standing still. And then from here, we're going to move on. We're going to add on to that. This is sun salutation A. It's a basic sun salutation. Inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. We're going to add on to this. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway. Exhale, step back into your plank. Take a deep breath in. Once in your plank, tailbone lengthens. You can always place the knees down. I'll do this one with the knees down. Exhale, hinge forward, lower down onto your belly, chaturanga. Inhaling into your cobra. So you might come up only a tiny bit, or your hands can slide further forward. Or lift or come up higher cobra, where the elbows are still bent, but not as bent. Looking just slightly in front of you, taking a deep breath in, spreading those collarbones. Exhale, lower down, lift up, downward facing dog. Take a pause here, just take a few breaths here, 2 breaths in downward facing dog. Tailbone lifts up to the sky. There's a soft bend to the knees, or there's a major bend, a pretty significant bend, generous bend. And let your heart press towards your thighs. Take an inhale and then exhale, walk to the front of the mat. Some of us like to leap. Feel free to float to the front of the mat or leap forward. Inhaling halfway, so deep breath in. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, sweep your arms up, back into mountain pose. Exhale, hands to heart. So if you're new to sun salutations, just keep practicing this. It takes time, but you know what? It's well worth it. Inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. Exhaling, forward fold. We're going to do another set. Inhaling halfway. Exhale, step back into your plank. Inhaling, holding and breathing. Exhaling, hinge forward, lower down, chaturanga. You can keep your knees down. You don't have to do it with your knees up. Inhaling into cobra, or if you're into the Sphinx, where it's for people who are very new to yoga, or even not new, you can place your elbows underneath your shoulders, so that's a little much gentler of a back bend. And then exhale, slide your hands next to your chest, lift back up, downward facing dog. Let's take a deep breath in, bend the knees. If you want to see what floating looks like, take an inhale, and then exhale, jump forward. Inhale, halfway. Some people float, they lift their legs high up in the air and touch down. I'm not quite there yet. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep your arms up to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart. So now let's just take a moment, breathing in and breathing out. Ooh, start to sweat. Tonight, this is where, if you're looking to burn calories, sun salutations, or if you're looking to lose some weight, exhaling, lifting your arms up, then forward fold. Let's just step back into our downward facing dog and then lower the knees to the ground. Take a pause here in child's pose. Keep the breath flowing because we're not quite done yet. I'll show you another flow. Breathing in. So why are flows important? What do you benefit from? So a sun salutation, we've taken multiple postures and placed them together. And so you're working pretty much every part of your body. Let's slide up, sit on our heels, and swing around onto our right hip and extend our legs forward. So you find yourself, you've worked your entire body from feet to head to arms. You're strengthening, you're stretching, you're moving any stagnant energy that you might have, which most of us do actually. Energy meaning lots of emotions, or just if you're sitting a lot, obviously, that's, everything kind of stays stuck in your body. So the next flow we're doing is a seated abdominal flow. And this is another one of my favorites. Very rarely you see this, so this is pretty new I learned this years ago, but I haven't seen anybody else teach this. So what we're going to do is start in a forward bend. So you don't have to have the hands on the feet. I would just place your hands next, in framing those legs. Then take an inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. Sit up nice and tall. You might bend your knees, that's perfectly fine. Then exhale, circle the arms back and push the hands away. So you're leaning back. So you can always bring your knees into a bent position if you're really struggling here. Inhaling, opening the arms out, spreading those fingers. And then exhaling, hands together in front of your heart. Inhaling, interlacing. Don't worry, if you're new to yoga, don't worry about the breath at this point. But if you know you've done this before, breathing in, and then exhale, releasing the hands behind your back, lifting your heart as you inhale. Take another exhale, keep the lift of the heart, and then inhale, sweep your arms to the sky, and exhale, fold over those legs. So that's a one set. We'll just stick with one. And then let's slowly lift ourselves up, either with straight legs or bent knees, feet are flat. We're going to roll down one vertebra at a time, starting with the tailbone, belly pulls in, round the spine, and keep going back, vertebra by vertebra. Touch down the lower back, and then the middle back, and the upper back. You might support yourself, your hands around your legs or the ground, until finally your back of the head touches down. And then hug your knees into your chest, little rocks and rolls from side to side. Whew. Open the arms out to the sides. Let's drop your knees to the left, coming into your spinal twist. And turn your gaze to the right. Closing your eyes, taking this moment just to be. And then pick your knees back up. So now the breath begins to settle. No more ujjayi breath or intense breathing. Hug your knees into your chest. Maybe bring your forehead to your knees. I'm always recommending this, the head, picking it up so that you can continue to work those tummy muscles, but also stretch out the entire length of the spine. Drop your knees to the right, which includes the neck. We forget the neck is part of the spine. And then turn your gaze to the left. Left shoulder on the ground. If not, slide your knees further down. And then lift your knees back up. Give yourself a hug, and then extend your left leg to the left corner of the mat, right to the right. So the feet open up naturally to the sides. Arms are a few inches from the body, palms are facing up. Lift your shoulders up and slide them down. Close the eyes, chin slightly tucked, as if you have an apple between chin and chest. And let yourself settle in. Just close the eyes, nothing more to do. Melting into the floor, into the ground, into the earth, bone by bone, skin by skin, muscle by muscle, while your body dissolves into the sky. So there's no separation between sky and earth and body. We're interconnected. And as you continue, I suggest 2 to 5 minutes in Shavasana. So you can just continue on while I come up to seal the practice of this flow and align class, or align and flow class. Practice. Class, practice. It's used interchangeably. A practice is, we describe yoga classes as our practice, because we're constantly practicing. Every class is different, every pose is different, every experience is different. We're never the same as every time we come and sit on the mat. So as I bring my hands in front of my heart to seal this class where we've aligned our breath and our movement, we've felt our bodies dance and move with ease and effortlessness, and you might not have felt that. So don't feel like you've done anything wrong. It takes time, but eventually you do, and it feels really good. Thank you so much for being with me. This is Rebecca Jane from yogawithrebeccajane.com. Namaste. I'll see you soon.